Hey there, Dolphins family. I'm Dustin Davis. Let's jump right into today's update. The Miami Dolphins front office faced a choice at the trade deadline that could define the next 2 seasons. Decision makers had offers on the table for key offensive weapons, and the path they selected tells you something about where ownership believes this team stands. What happened and what didn't matters more than the rumors themselves. The franchise sits at a crossroads most teams dread. Coaching staff stability remains uncertain, the win column doesn't match preseason expectations, and the roster includes expensive veterans whose futures depend on factors beyond their individual performance. Internal evaluations are underway, and the outcomes will determine whether Miami pursues modest fixes or commits to something more drastic. What comes next isn't settled. The organization bought itself time to assess whether the current core can deliver meaningful results or whether a larger transformation becomes necessary when the offseason arrives. Let's check out some big moves in Miami. Before we dive in, I have a quick request. If you find value in our content, please give us a like. It's a small gesture, but it really helps. Thanks for being awesome. Specific trade proposals emerged after the deadline passed, and those details provide insight into how rival organizations view Miami's talent and how the Dolphins value their own roster. Buffalo approached Miami with a tangible offer for Jalen Waddle, a first-round selection in 2027, combined with a third-round pick in 2026. The Dolphins rejected it because they wanted any first-round compensation to arrive in the upcoming draft rather than push 2 years out. Devon Achane also attracted serious attention. According to league reporting, Miami set his price at a second-round pick plus additional assets. No deal materialized, and both Waddle and Achane remained on the roster when the deadline closed. Cap considerations factor heavily into these evaluations. Waddle's salary jumps significantly in 2027, which makes the timing of any draft compensation and whether it arrives immediately or later central to the value calculation. Trading a top receiver for a first and third represents solid return value even when the first-round pick is delayed. Turning that down suggests the front office sees a realistic scenario that doesn't require immediate asset liquidation. Achane's emergence as an elite offensive weapon complicates any discussion about trading him, but his contract situation creates complexity. He becomes extension eligible after completing his third season, which likely occurs following the January 4 game at New England. His representation will engage Miami about a new deal, and that negotiation brings up familiar debates about paying running backs long-term at premium rates. While moving Achane now seemed unlikely, the offseason presents a genuine window to revisit those conversations if the season ends poorly. The deadline decisions may reflect a strategy to delay major roster choices rather than a firm rejection of rebuilding. Beyond the trade talks, several roster spots are now hanging by a thread. Recent improvements might save Mike McDaniel's position, but this roster isn't close to contending. After replacing Chris Gear with an interim general manager mid-season, the organization now confronts the real possibility of deeper changes. At 4-7, playoff contention appears distant, but the final 6 games carry weight for players without guaranteed contracts. These weeks function as live auditions, final opportunities to demonstrate value to a new front office. With potential reconstruction ahead, few veterans can assume their roles are secure. Tyreek Hill. Hill's 2023 season transformed McDaniel's offensive scheme with explosive production. What followed has been less consistent. A knee injury cost him games and his output declined in 2024. Considering the questions about his health, contract structure, and long-term commitment to the franchise, it's reasonable to believe Hill's future in Miami is uncertain. Whether that results in a trade, release, or retirement remains undetermined. Cole Strange. Miami signed Cole Strange after New England moved on from the former first-round guard. Through 8 starts, the experiment hasn't produced positive results. Strange has struggled protecting the quarterback and fitting run assignments, and the offensive line needs substantial upgrades. His most realistic path to staying in Miami may be circumstantial. Limited cap flexibility elsewhere could keep him employed, but his on-field performance hasn't earned him a secure spot. Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. Nick Westbrook-Ikhine joined the team with clear expectations after posting 9 touchdowns in Tennessee. Fans anticipated immediate red zone contributions. Instead, he's barely seen the field. Across 11 games, he's recorded 11 receptions for 89 yards and 0 touchdowns. saving him only about $500,000 against the cap, but with such minimal production, it's hard to envision him returning in 2026. Meanwhile, one name keeps surfacing in Miami's quarterback conversations. Miami's quarterback situation has become unavoidable. Some fans dismiss it. Others view it as the primary obstacle preventing the team from competing. Tua Tagovailoa says he doesn't let outside speculation affect him, but the sheer volume of rumors makes that claim increasingly difficult to maintain. Speculation about Tua's future in Miami has become routine, though any genuine change likely wouldn't happen until after the 2026 season. What stands out are the unexpected names repeatedly linked as potential successors, names that would fundamentally alter Miami's identity if they ever materialized. ESPN analyst Dan Graziano recently suggested Kyler Murray could be a realistic option for the Dolphins if Miami finishes the season unconvinced that Tua represents the long-term answer. Graziano and Jeremy Fowler were discussing Arizona's quarterback situation and raised the possibility that the Cardinals could part ways with Murray before the new league year begins in March. If that occurs, Graziano said Miami belongs on any list of potential landing spots. Graziano stated it directly. I'd add Miami to that list if it gets to the end of the season and doesn't feel convinced Tua Tagovailoa is its long-term quarterback, which is certainly possible. That framing places the Dolphins squarely in the conversation should ownership and personnel decide change is necessary. This isn't the first time Murray and Miami have been connected in speculative reporting. Momentum around Tua's future has increased, and Murray periodically surfaces on lists of possible replacements. But Murray isn't a straightforward upgrade. His play style, injury history, and occasional struggles reading downfield progressions complicate his candidacy. If Miami were willing to absorb cap pain elsewhere, Murray might offer a comparatively lower-cost path because significant portions of his contract would remain Arizona's responsibility unless restructured. Most Dolphins fans expect Tua to remain with the team through at least the 2026 season because his contract includes substantial guarantees. Moving on sooner would likely create a cap charge exceeding $50 million, a step Miami would understandably avoid. That's why roster moves, including the probable post-June 1 designation for Tyreek Hill and potential similar cap management for other veterans like Bradley Chubb, are central to how the team creates future flexibility. Until the financial structure around Tua changes, Miami's ability to pursue alternatives like Kyler Murray remains constrained. While Murray possesses Pro Bowl ability, his fit and lingering concerns make him a theoretical option rather than a clear upgrade that would justify an accelerated timeline for moving on from Tua. At the same time, a more under-the-radar signal caller is drawing quiet interest across the league. A group of 3 teams, the Minnesota Vikings, Miami Dolphins, and Arizona Cardinals, have been identified as organizations that might pursue a quarterback in 2026. Miami faces more constraints. The Dolphins appear locked into Tua for at least another season, but if they identify a way to move on, they'd need a replacement. In Arizona, reports suggest the Cardinals and Kyler Murray could split, which would leave Jacoby Brissett as the only veteran on the depth chart and create obvious voids. Sports Illustrated's Albert Breer identified Mac Jones, who carries approximately an $8 million cap figure and has another year remaining on his contract with the San Francisco 49ers, as a quarterback who could generate trade interest in 2026. Jones's combination of affordability and scheme familiarity makes him appealing to teams seeking a capable starter or stable bridge option without significant financial commitment. Breer pointed to Minnesota, Miami, and Arizona as logical destinations. In Minnesota, Jones would offer competition and insurance for J.J. McCarthy on a roster that otherwise lacks depth. For Miami and Arizona, Jones represents a practical, low-risk option that could facilitate moving away from more expensive quarterback situations if those teams choose that direction. Jones's value increased this season while Brock Purdy dealt with injuries, making him a valuable asset both as a starter and as proven depth. The 49ers are unlikely to move away from Purdy given the substantial guarantees on his contract, but that very commitment could make Jones expendable and therefore attractive in trade discussions. Breer estimates San Francisco could reasonably secure a Day 2 pick plus a conditional Day 3 selection for Jones, a return that would justify a trade from the Niners' perspective. San Francisco must weigh whether Jones's insurance value exceeds the draft capital they might obtain. If Purdy's availability becomes a recurring concern, retaining Jones makes sense. If not, trading him to a team that offers starting opportunities could benefit both sides.
Could Mac Jones be a legitimate solution for teams like Miami? Would you rather have Jones as a bridge quarterback or keep gambling on what you already have? Leave your analysis in the comments. Support the channel by leaving a like and subscribing. Stay one step ahead with all the latest on Dolphins. See you in the next one.